Welcome to EntreProgrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
This episode of the EntreProgrammers is brought to you by DigitalOcean, the easiest way to get up and running with a Linux VPS in less than a minute. Seriously, it's incredibly fast and incredibly simple to get started with Linux on DigitalOcean. We run the EntreProgrammers.com website off of our DigitalOcean server, and I personally run a couple of other websites off of there. I run Watch Me Code, I run the Signal Leaf blog, and I run the DerickBailey.com blog off of DigitalOcean servers. And they couldn't be better. I've never had a single problem with them. I've always had reliable service. They're incredibly fast. They're all SSD based, so they're going to run super fast on the back end when they're actually doing some data crunching, and they have a terabyte of bandwidth for your default usage every given month. That's a ton of bandwidth. There's no way I'm hitting anywhere near that kind of bandwidth for the $5 a month that I'm spending, or $10 a month that I'm spending in a couple of cases. With over 400,000 developers, including the EntreProgrammers that they're currently serving, DigitalOcean will run your production applications and your personal projects like you would not believe. And you can get started for just $5 a month, with details on the pricing listed at DigitalOcean.com. But it gets even better, because if you use the promo code EntreProgrammers, you're going to get a $10 credit. So you're effectively going to get 2 months worth of free service by using the EntreProgrammers promo code at DigitalOcean.com. So check them out. They're an amazing service full of great people, excellent tutorials, and by far the easiest way to get a Linux VPS up and running to run your personal products, your production applications, and so much more.
Hey, John Sonmez here. Just thought I would take a moment to thank one of the sponsors for this week's episode of EntreProgrammers, Raygun.io. Really thank Raygun.io for sponsoring this podcast. And if you don't know what Raygun.io is, I definitely recommend that you check it out. If you've ever been in the situation where you're trying to get all of these user error messages and logs and stack traces from your application out of some log file and then try to sort it all out, and maybe you dump that into a SQL database or something like that, you need Raygun.io. It just makes things simple. What it basically does is it lets you find and fix bugs before the users even encounter them. So you can see your stack traces, you can see that null pointer exception or that exception that got thrown before a user happens to see it, and it's all in one big dashboard where you can just group things and check them off as you fix them, and you can even communicate with users right from there. So it's going to save you time and money. You know, developer time is expensive. You don't want to be wasting that going through log files and trying to come up with your own homegrown solutions. It integrates error reporting and monitoring into your development workflow, so you can have assurance that your releases are error-free, and it has full stack monitoring, lets you monitor errors across your entire application. It supports all languages and platforms. Yes, that's right, all languages and platforms. So whether it's a Node.js backend or JavaScript front end, you've got it all in one place. So check out Raygun.io, and thanks again to Raygun.io for sponsoring this week's episode of EntreProgrammers.
And we're live.
Hey.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, hey, all right.
It just took a minute.
Oh,
It must be because John's on his phone.
probably.
That's it.
Yep.
John,
I'm
you
gonna
can
get to
start
do
running. You can start running.
start
here.
running.
Yeah.
There we go. Then we'll have the first running EntreProgrammers.
Totally.
That's
I'm gonna
right.
get to test out Derick's like holding your phone, your arm sore thing.
Yeah. Your arm will totally be sore by the time you're done with this.
Nice.
Oh, one time I was on the phone for long. Like I realize this now, so I'm holding it in the right way.
Uh-huh.
Or I guess this isn't. But I had the phone held up to my ear for like I don't know, like 45 minutes. And it was the most excruciating pain in my bicep ever.
That's exactly what I was talking about.
I was like, is something medically wrong with me? Am I going to die from a bicep explosion or something? Like, I had no idea you could experience that much pain in your bicep.
Yeah, because you're when you hold the phone up like that, you're constantly flexing your bicep and putting a tremendous amount of strain on it. You'll deplete your energy stores. You'll go into your reserves. You will just your arm will just it'll just be like trying to get your arm to come back down because it's
crazy. Like, it doesn't even hurt when you're holding the phone, right? That's the crazy thing. It's like I was like, oh, it doesn't even hurt. But then when I tried to move my arm down, I thought I was going to like just cry like a baby.
That's exactly what my eyes are going through right now because of the glasses that I have now, and trying to retrain my eyes to not forcefully focus all the time. It's insane.
Yep.
So yeah, that was exactly what I was talking about in that post.
Yep. Yeah, I got it. That was I was like, yep, did that. Not doing that again. Now when I'm on the phone, I like consciously I'm like switch it and so don't experience that.
Nice. Holy cow, my MacBook sounds like a jet engine right now.
Yeah, the Google Hangouts.
Pro,
will do that.
yeah, Google Hangouts.
Yeah.
If you would have gotten the MacBook the gold, then it would have no fan in it. Of course, it wouldn't actually be able to run Chrome.
It would just melt. It would just
Right.
Chrome would just be like, okay.
Yeah, I heard the gold-plated one levitates.
That's awesome. It'll only if you have the gold iWatch as well. Then there's a button on your iWatch that you can push, and it makes your phone levitate. I mean, your MacBook levitate.
And you can steer it too with your wrist, right? It's like
Yeah.
So how long are we going to have you on, John? Should we make you go first with what you're doing?
Yeah, let's have John go first.
Yeah, maybe I should talk about it. Okay, so let's see. What am I doing this week? Gosh, I haven't gotten into a Kanban cycle in quite a while, doing my weekly thing because I've just had so much crazy stuff going on. I've recorded a bunch of Get Up and Code podcast episodes. Let's see. Oh, the big thing this week, though, is I bought a new MacBook Pro 13-inch. The Retina, like, totally maxed out, like the $2,700 1 terabyte hard drive, 16 gigabyte RAM, i7. And that's my new plan is to be totally mobile. So I sold my MacBook, the 15-inch, and I just sold that off of Twitter, actually. So pretty cool. Nice to have a lot of Twitter followers. And I just sent out an email today to try and... Exactly, Tweebay. I'm selling my desktop PC as well. So I am just going to be totally portable with this one MacBook Pro Retina. It's not quite as powerful as I would have liked, but it's enough. I think this is going to work out really, really well. The fact is that I can, now that I'm just on that single one, it simplifies my life greatly, right? I don't have a desktop. Like, I can just pick up my MacBook and go. And I can connect it to my 4K monitor, and then having that 1 terabyte hard drive SSD in there is just awesome because I can just sync the entire Dropbox to it. I'm running Windows in a boot camp partition, which I can run Parallels, and so I can either boot directly into Windows, or I can use Parallels to run it in a VM. So that's pretty spiffy. So
are you able to access the same hard drive doing that?
Exactly. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I was trying to debate. I was like, should I do boot camp or a VM? And then I was like, wait a minute. I bet a VM can boot from a boot camp, or can launch a boot camp partition. And yeah, Parallels supports it.
Nice.
I think VMware supports it too. So if if you have a big enough hard drive, like, the obvious answer is do not just install, create a virtual machine. Instead, do boot camp, partition off, part of your hard drive. And then you have both options, because if you want to run on the bare metal, which in some apps that are intensive, CPU intensive or graphics intensive, you'll want to do that.
Yeah.
Definitely
if you're running something that really needs the bare metal like that, then yes. Like, if you're doing gaming on Windows but you have a Mac hardware, then totally. But otherwise, I recommend not using Boot Camp. I used it for 2 years and switched away from it, because you get better performance from the virtual machine than you do out of trying to run Boot Camp inside of VMware. So Boot Camp will allow you to VMware will allow you to run your Boot Camp partition as a virtual machine, but it's significantly slower doing that than it is having an actual virtual machine. The real power.
That's still the case?
Yeah, it definitely is. The real power of Boot Camp is if you want to get out of Mac OS and into Windows raw so that you can just run Windows. That's where you get all your performance benefit. But then you're out of Mac OS and you're just in Windows.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really wish there was a way to like suspend and switch without having to reboot.
Yeah, but you have to
Keep
reboot.
dreaming.
into
I
it.
mean,
I
yeah,
know.
that'd be nice.
You'd
for
think
me,
somebody would.
right? For me personally, a virtual machine makes a lot more sense than boot camp. I mean, I did boot camp for a number of years, like I said, and it's great for what it is, but there are some limitations and some drawbacks to it.
I always regret partitioning my hard drive every time I do
too.
it. I'm always
yeah.
I end up looking at that partition and feeling sad.
Right.
And I end up hating my machine for no reason other than to get rid of it.
With my virtual machines, if I'm not using my VMs for an extended period of time, I just dump them off into my external storage, and I don't have to worry about having that partition eating up space.
Well, remember, I bought the one. That's why I paid the extra $500 to get the 1 terabyte hard drive.
Yeah.
It's like 1 terabyte SSD is like more than you ever need, especially with the cloud. Like it's just ridiculous. So
I remember
we've heard those
100 meg hard drive.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say we've heard.
I've been operating off of 128 gigs for a long. I mean, so it's totally more than I need. Like, so I just pulled off a 100 gig partition. I'm not totally sure about the boot camp thing anymore though, because everything I read said that there's no performance penalty for running boot camp in a VM, because it's just a virtual disk at this point. Like, the technology changed.
Yeah, but you're sharing resources with the host VM or with the host OS.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying. Derick was saying that there's rather than just having a virtual machine, having a boot camp partition as the virtual. Using it as a virtual machine, that there's a difference in performance, but I haven't.
With everything being SSDs, that issue may have been mitigated.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong, but as far as I can tell.
Yeah, but the rest of your hardware is all virtualized, so there is a penalty there, but you may or may not feel it depending on how it's all put together.
But that's going to happen if you're in a regular VM or a boot camp VM.
Right. Yeah. Chuck. What we're talking about is the difference. Like, so
a boot camp VM instead of just
exactly
into Windows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you ever want to do any kind of Windows Phone development, you have to have for sure. Like, you have to run boot camp.
Yeah.
Because it uses a 3D acceleration. Like, there's a few things like if you do anything DirectX, and you'd be surprised with how many things kind of Because I ran into this because I thought, oh, my I've gone through all these things, right? It's like I was going to make my remote into a cloud machine, and that would be. But the problem with remoting into a cloud machine is that the DirectX crap, like, you can't do that, over RDP. So so it's fun. So anyway, I think I'm in a happy place. I'm probably not actually going to be using Windows anymore, really, at all, pretty much anyway. Especially since even .NET stuff now you can do on Mac. Hey, there we go. So. But I'm actually trying to adapt. I'm actually going to get like a book, the missing manual book, I think. Unless you guys know of a better one, so I can actually learn how to use my Mac now. Because right now I just fumble through it, and I know like the intricacies of Windows, like where what's in the System32 folder and all of that stuff.
Right.
Like, I feel like if I'm going to use a Mac, I need to understand that. Like, if someone had a Mac problem and I had to troubleshoot it, I guess I would probably just I don't know what I would do. So
Google
friends.
Command C, Command V, my friend. That's really all you need to know.
Copy paste.
But so that's pretty sweet. I need a dock though. I've got a USB dock, but I have to plug in like 2 cables or 3 cables because of the power as well.
No.
Yeah, it's a pain, especially plugging in the HDMI cable. So I don't know. I'll probably try and get a good dock, but I'm pretty happy with. I was actually able to get rid of a UPS as well, and then get rid of like a ADF scanner. Those things are no longer needed now that the phone apps are able to basically like scan faster than ADF for like 5 pages. Like, if you have more than 5, the ADF is faster, but for 5 pages you could actually spin through, with the auto recognition, document recognition faster, which is 95% of my case. So so I'm simplifying.
Cool.
You're the simpler programmer.
Yeah. I got the badge launched, right, for Simple Programmer. So a bunch of blogs. I think I might have talked about it last week, but I got a bunch of blogs that are showing the badge. Had some people send me some photos from seeing soft skills book in the wild in different bookstores.
Yeah,
So
I saw
that's
you
pretty
tweet that.
cool.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think what else had happened. There was I'm seeing a slight drop off in the blogging course stuff. I'm trying to get like the paid advertising going for that still. I think I'm probably going to have to.
The new enrollments are dropping off, or the conversion?
The conversions are seeming. I don't know. I have to look at the data. Like it might just be how we panic over little blips of. But it seems like people haven't been buying from that JavaScript Java though. Thanks, Chuck. Lots of people. I'm surprised. I didn't think that episode came out very well, but a lot of people have been really liking the episode and buying the course from there. So
nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Happy to make you money.
Yeah. Trying to think. I've been doing a lot of. I'm gonna wait on Kai's thing for the double your audience until I get back because I need to be. I'm going to be going to Europe, so I need to be available to do podcast interviews and things like that. So, but I think that'll be cool. That'll probably be something I pay for, and I think I'm going to delve into the paid advertising myself. I think I just need to learn that before I've got one guy working on it, but I think I'm going to need to at least like try different platforms and mess around with it before I really seriously hire someone to do that. I've been talking to Keith Perhack, who we had on the show, about his agency doing it, but again, I think I'm just not at the point where I'm like, I don't know enough about it in order to hire it out, so unfortunate situation. But the editor thing, I'm rolling with that idea, Josh. I just sent out my email today,
I said,
I'm looking for an error. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know if that'll turn up someone or not, but I have a feeling it will. I have a feeling it's going to return a lot of people wanting to blog on Simple Programmer that are not. I'll just play. They're not qualified to blog on Simple Programmer.
Yeah.
But I tried to make it so you send me a writing sample and stuff. So I don't know. Hopefully, it won't.
You should make it so that if they send you something and it's bad, you will actually show up at their house and beat them up.
Exactly.
I will run to your house wherever you live.
Yeah. Put a little teeth in that.
Yeah.
But, I'm kind of going through the same thing, trying to find people to do the intro to RabbitMQ with other languages. I've had a number of people respond saying, "Hey, I'd love to do this," and then I go look at their videos, and some of them, some of them are not so good. Some of them you can see the talent in the person. They're just not very good on camera. It's difficult. So you gotta. It's humbling and nice in one moment because people are wanting to help out and putting forth their best effort, but it's also kind of like, well, you need to control for quality to make sure that things live up to the standard that you're setting with the rest of the material.
I have an idea for you.
What's that?
You can go and look at the catalog for Pluralsight.
Yeah.
And they vet all of their authors, so you can then look at the authors for the intro to blah 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 course.
That's a pretty good idea.
Or whatever.
That's killer.
And then see if you can track them down,
right,
and get them to help you out.
Right. Well, I've got some schmuck lined up to do Ruby already. I mean, I've got Chuck lined up to do Ruby already.
Dude, let me just warn you now.
You know what you could do though, Derick, is for some of these, like seriously, it'll take you like 10 minutes to figure out how to get this running with a different language. Like,
no, the point is, I don't want to do it in another language. I want somebody that is known in another language.
Okay, so you choose it as a marketing opportunity as
exactly.
well. Exactly. Okay, that makes sense.
I want to branch out into their audience, and I want to bring people that are other. Experts in the language in to do this because, of course I could figure out and I could do it, and it would probably take me less time, but it's going to have more meaning and impact if I get somebody who is an expert and recognized in that language to do it.
All I heard is Derick saying, I don't want to learn any other programming languages.
Exactly.
I just like JavaScript.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Let's see. Oh, a couple other things. So heading to Europe, I didn't think we're gonna be carrying on everything. So
Oh, wow.
I'm planning, like, there's all kinds of things I didn't realize about, like, there's, like, travel clothing and stuff. So I just spent, like, $700 on travel clothing, basically. But it's kind of
buying the
interesting.
clothing that allows you to pack everything in the clothing.
Well, it's more.
No,
like
I'm
that
serious. I've
The
seen
Scotty
it.
vest.
Yeah.
No, it's actually, there's clothing that is designed to be worn like every single day, like that you could wear hundreds of days at a time. I'm not even kidding. Like, this is just insane. So I bought this, like, Merino Wool is what it is. It's like most of the stuff is made out of. So I bought this, like, $125 shirt, right? I would never spend $125 on a shirt, except that the founder of the company, he wore the shirt 100 days in a row without washing it. No problem. It doesn't stink. It's just.
I could wear any of my clothes that long, but you know, my wife and kids might start holding interventions.
That's right. My clothes will be able to stand up on their own after a week or two.
So this is some pretty, like, cool. I didn't realize, like, there was, like, actually technology in the textile industry.
Yeah.
There's, like, seriously, like, there's these. You know, I got merino wool underwear, merino wool, you know, shirts and socks and yeah, they're pretty awesome. It's super expensive for some of this stuff, like $200 for a pair of pants. But I'm gonna bring one. For 3 months, I'm bringing one pair of pants. That's it.
Yep.
I can wash it in the sink and it dries like in 15 minutes. I only need to wash it like once every couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so
that's what I've heard. The other thing that I've heard about them though is that you can basically wad them up and throw them in your suitcase. Yep. And then, you know, some lady's dog's suitcase rides on top of yours and smashes it, and you'd think it'd get creases, but you just pull it out and you go thump, and you shake it out, and then it's wrinkle-free.
Yep. So that's the plan. So I'm probably going to have, like, everything I need, you know, for 3 months of Europe in probably, like, you know, this essentially the size of this Tom Bin bag. Like,
nice.
I bought this Tortuga, like, back max carry pack, like, thing that everyone recommends, that I'm going to throw, you know, my wife and daughter's stuff in there and try to get them to pare down their clothes as much as possible. But yeah, it's interesting when you think about the challenge of, like, especially European airlines trying to carry on. It's smaller. You just don't want to check bags, like, going on 6 or 7 flights. So I don't know. It'll be an interesting. So I'll have, like, the same clothes on every single time when we're
bring on the lucky underwear jokes.
Nice. So we gotta get our obligatory Tim Ferriss story in here. So
okay, I'm done for the week, guys. I'll see you next week.
He has a great story about how he wanted to go to South America, but he wanted to bring some equipment with him so he could work out. And so the only thing he could think of was to bring. He had a push-up pull-up vest, like a weighted vest, and he was like, I can't pack this thing, so why don't I just wear it? And if you've ever seen these things, they have like slots in them for you to put, you know, weights in. And basically, his friend's like, "Oh, you mean the suicide bomber vest?" No, Tim, you're not wearing that. So, stage intervention. Otherwise, Tim might be in the pen right now.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So I'm trying to prepare for that. We'll have to figure out, like, EntreProgrammers. I don't know what the time zone difference. I have to figure out if that will. I think it'll work. Huh?
Where are you going?
I'm gonna be in Europe, so, you know, it'll be
undisclosed location in Europe.
Well, as far east as Berlin, that's as far east as I'm going, and as far west as Iceland. Iceland at the end. So I'll mostly be staying between the Dublin and Berlin zone.
So
I don't expect
you'll be
you guys
like
to know.
3 to 5 hours time zone difference. 3 to 6 hours time zone difference.
Yeah, every time zone says that Vienna it'll start at 6 p.m. local time, all the way over to London, which is 5 p.m. local time, and Iceland somewhere in the middle. I don't see it on here, so.
Iceland is west of there, I think.
Yeah, so it'll be less. So it'll be
like 4 p.m. or something.
Yeah, 3 or 4 p.m.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
It'll be late afternoon, early evening for you, basically.
Yep. So it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I think I'm set clothing-wise. We'll see if I regret it. I figure the worst-case scenario, like, is if you pack too little, you can just buy clothes. I mean, it's not like you're gonna die, right? So
exactly.
So I'd rather be, you know, I'm trying to be as light as possible, just So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
I'm totally waiting for the episode where he's like, guys, they have Wi-Fi on top of the Eiffel Tower.
Totally.
Yeah. Trying to think what else. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The big thing is I've been doing the sharpening the saw type of stuff, like just trying to get things. I haven't been doing any real work, just keeping things going smooth. The VA, Andrew is just working out really well. He's pretty awesome. If you've been seeing like the featured images he's been creating and stuff, and he's on top of it, answering email and stuff. So that was one of the best investments I've made in Simple Programmer. But if I can get an editor and get some writing staff, I think that's really the next big evolution step for Simple Programmer. So I'm hoping to do that, and then I'll probably start delving into the paid advertising myself. Like, I don't know, maybe even as soon as next week, and see what I can do with that.
What platforms are you thinking?
Well,
Facebook,
I'm going to start with the lowest hanging fruit is remarketing, right?
Right.
And I can do probably retargeting. I think it's
retargeting. Yeah,
I know what that means. Sorry, I was confused for a minute. I'm like, is that a company? Okay.
So that's the lowest hanging fruit, because like if you get 150, if I get 150,000 visitors to Simple Programmer every month, I can pay pennies to have an ad displayed to those people when they go to Facebook. Probably Facebook, I'm guessing, because Google Analytics. I mean, I've got someone else, Google AdWords. I've got that guy working on AdWords, and he's been. So there is something. Here's something for you, Josh. If you are an AdWords consultant expert, certification with Google, you get your own AdWords person.
Okay. If you've got the Google certification.
Yeah, and you work with them directly. So that's the discrepancy we are seeing. So that's why this guy is like, oh, Google's told me to modify your page in this way, and they're going back and forth, and like, oh yeah, we'll approve this landing page now. So that's the, I guess, besides doing it yourself, there's an advantage there to using someone who has that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but anyway, I don't know if I'll probably try Facebook. I'd like to. I think I have to see where the remarketing. There's a thing called Perfect Audience that everyone keeps on telling me about. Have you guys heard of this?
I've heard of it. I don't remember what it does.
So it does the remarketing for you, retargeting, and lets you appear in different places. So that's probably what I'll use, is Perfect Audience, and that's the lowest hanging fruit, because, like I said, you can get people for pennies.
Oh, that's another ad network. It's another ad network.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
But it goes through Facebook and Google and all that, I think. So it just it's one central place to do. But yeah, that's the thing about. Again, I'm no expert in this, but from doing the research on the retargeting, the thing is that it's you're displaying ads for pennies, like you're paying pennies per click or whatever. I think Adrian, or the Pi image search guy, he was saying that he's paying 15 cents a click. Or it might have even been less than that. But you can't just throw money at it, because it's limited to your audience, like people who have visited your site and gotten the tag. So you should always max that out, is what everyone in the pay-per-click is telling me. Is like, you're just leaving money on the table if you don't max that out. So that's obviously the lowest hanging fruit. And then from there, I'm thinking Facebook and LinkedIn are probably going to be my best options for just doing some regular ads. And you know what? I should always have a Reddit ad running all the time. You have to schedule it way in advance. But Reddit is so friggin' cost effective. It's ridiculously cost effective. So I'm gonna make sure that I have Reddit ads, just running all the time. But that's it. I think that's pretty much me for the week.
Cool. Where are you at? Are you at a school or a church or something?
I was gonna say this looks like a prison break that we've stayed here.
I'm at downtown St. Pete. There's this event for that company that I'm the tech advisor on, Health Hero. The mayor's here and talking about being healthy.
Nice.
And, 4 pillars of being healthy.
It is a government building.
Lots of unhealthy people talking about being healthy. It's politics. So.
Nice.
And the moral of the story is, If you work out like John, your arm will still get tired holding up your phone.
That's right. Yeah. I got to figure out the workouts there too. By the way, like I got to figure out what I'm going to do. Body weight exercises, I guess. So.
So Josh has been talking about interesting stuff on the mailing list.
Yeah.
I want to hear how that's going.
Yeah. So like what? My little meltdown about my Mac last week. Oh my gosh. I got that all squared away. I finally. Oh man, that was just such a train wreck.
Well, clearly it's your fault because mine works perfectly, so you're
Yeah.
doing something wrong.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The threads on any kind of issue with anything Apple
Yeah.
is just hysterical. Like
Oh, yeah.
usually there's like one that they follow a very definite pattern. There's like the initial post of like I tried all these things, these ridiculous things, and burned chicken entrails and everything, and my Mac still doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like the guy that comes in next always says, "Well, you're an idiot because mine works fine."
Mhm.
And then it turns into this what I call the trail of tears, where it's just like people wailing and gnashing their teeth and saying, feeling so betrayed at Apple, like I bought this expensive thing and it was supposed to just work and it doesn't, and oh, this is horrible. So yeah, it's just. But so you have to read like 30 of those, and sometimes you'll find little clues that are sometimes useful. And
there's always like a fanboy in there that's like
yeah.
claiming that Apple is so great and like like you're an idiot. And usually the person asking the question is really intelligent. Like they've asked them really, really intelligent. Like tried all the things. Like, But
did you reset the PRAM? Like you idiot.
Yeah, some Apple fanboys like always tells them how stupid they are. And then I just want to reply, no, you're actually the idiot. But then I realized that I would actually be the guy if I. It's like no, you don't understand.
No, you're done. No, you're done.
You're the idiot because you don't understand how smart the guy is who asked the question based on his question. So that makes you the biggest. But anyway.
Yeah, so I initially started trying to do the migration over Wi-Fi, and that really didn't work. Well, okay, Derick, you snicker, all right, but everybody online was saying that it should only take 4 to 6 hours.
Nope.
It was only 150 gigs.
I have never once heard of anybody doing Wi-Fi migration where it took less than 12 to 24 hours.
All right. Well,
not once.
Well, it wasn't the Wi-Fi because when I went ahead and plugged it in with the Thunderbolt cable, it was saying it was going to be 30 to 36 hours. So there was something wrong. So what I ended up doing was I have an old like hard drive docking station. Right. So I just used that, did a backup, and then plugged it in and did it entirely over USB, and that finally worked. And then I started all kinds of other fun little bugs, like I got hit by the Bluetooth bug, the infamous Bluetooth bug that everybody's basically. If you have Bluetooth on, you can have Bluetooth or you can have Wi-Fi, but you can't have both. Apparently,
that has to be fixable.
Which is complete crap because I do that every time I record.
Okay, Derick. Well, you're doing it. You're doing it. Was that on purpose?
Well, you guys have the same MacBook version.
What's that?
No.
You guys have the same exact model.
No, I don't.
No. I have a.
I'm just being an ass.
It's all Mac OS. It's all the same.
Yeah.
I have be able to push that one with Apple, though.
You have. Well, there have been a lot of. There's tons of people have been complaining about it. The most recent update to Yosemite was supposed to fix it and didn't. It's like a really weird thing where it has to do with for most people, it's like if you've done the migration versus doing a clean install, that seems to trigger it. No, I'm sorry. If you've done the Yosemite upgrade instead of doing a clean install, that seems to trigger the problem. But some people were saying they did a clean install and it was still a problem. So who knows? They'll figure it out, but apparently Apple and Wi-Fi have been have a long and sordid history. But yeah, so I got that ironed out. There were like some other little glitches, like I finally got my remote desktop all working, and I can communicate with all my machines now, so that's great. So that has eaten up way too much time this week, and too much mental energy. But yeah, so what else? But now I'm in good shape now. I bought the Apple USB keyboard, which I really, really like. I had the Wi-Fi keyboard before, which was the Bluetooth, that I couldn't use. But this has two USB ports on it, so I've got like peripherals that I only want when I'm at my desk, like my mouse and stuff.
Like a docking station, almost.
It is very much like a docking station. Yeah. I really wish that there was a decent docking station. I think I am eventually going to go with Derick's suggestion and get the Thunderbolt monitor.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah,
and then
that's
make
pretty
that
sweet.
the docking station?
Yeah, it has USB in the back, so...
Does it give you power, or do you just have to put the power as well?
No, it gives you the Thunderbolt monitor has two cables coming out of it, a power cable and a Thunderbolt cable. So I have two plugs to plug in when I put my laptop down.
Yeah.
But then on the back of the Thunderbolt monitor, there's USB ports, there's an Ethernet port, there's more Thunderbolt ports.
And there's FireWire, by the way,
Yeah, it's a hub, basically.
And there is FireWire.
You mocked me for the FireWire, dude, but you're rocking a FireWire connection right now.
It's like saying, "Woo, my laptop has a 3.5-inch floppy drive connection. Yay! I need FireWire."
They printed a dinosaur on the back too.
Totally. No, but it's a really good monitor. It's big, it's beautiful, and it's two plugs to have a docking station. I really like it. I think John froze or dropped. Got this wonderfully
smiling
dumb grin.
Yeah, he does. Great. Well, at least so the one little glitch with the used MacBook that I got is there's a couple little flaws in the screen, and I did a little research, and apparently this is really common now with the Retina screens because they're so close to the keyboard when it's closed that if there's any little dust or anything, it can put extra pressure on the screen, and then it'll explode. The pixels will like explode, and they make a little crater in the screen. So I've got 3 of those, which only show up when I'm using like a dark, like if I'm using, say, Sublime Text, and it's dark, then I can see it. But I was like, you know what? If I got a brand new one, I could do this to my own screen pretty easily.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky with that. I have some obvious keyboard marks on my screen, but I haven't had any of the pixel exploding.
Okay, so you're aware of that too, then?
Yep. Yeah, that's been a known problem. There's also another problem with screen burn. If you leave the brightness turned up all the way on a single app, especially one that's bright white background, you'll end up with ghost images that stick around for a couple of hours.
Wow.
So you generally want to leave the brightness of your monitor down at least 3 notches to help prevent that.
Okay. I typically, most of the time I use it with it down about halfway.
Yeah.
So
that would do it.
Yeah, so I've got that. I got my Thunderbolt or my time capsule all set up. Been pretty happy with that so far. Welcome back, John.
Pointing your iPhone in the sun while running videos probably not good. It just blue screen and then rebooted. So.
Nice.
Pointed into the sun, it's like using my wife's iPhone. She turns the brightness all the way up. And then she picks up mine and she's like, I can't read it. And I'm like, I can read it. And then I pick up hers and she's like, why don't you like it? I'm like, I'm getting a tan here.
Nice. So what else? So I think so I got my my lean pub total for the month, and it looks like it might have ticked back up a little bit. Well, it's still not great. It was only like $237, but it was up from where it was last month. So I think half a month of having it pointed at having my site pointed at like an empty directory probably hurt sales a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, it'll probably bounce. I'm thinking it'll bounce back to maybe like around 300 next month, which would be cool because it was like half that last month. So what else here? So John sent me that Matt Fury, the Theater of the Mind program, and I'm starting to go through that right now. And John, could you mute, dude? That's really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. So I'm starting to go through that Theater of the Mind program, and it's pretty good. I'm really liking it, and I'm just realizing like how much negativity I have, like just negative thought patterns I have ingrained that I really need to work on. And it's just like I think I mentioned earlier how like I just kind of have this almost like expectation of failure. Like I always go into a situation hoping that it works out, but kind of expecting it to fail, and that's not a good place to start. So I'm gonna be working on that. I haven't gotten to kind of any of the parts in this program yet where he suggests like what to do about stuff. So I'll have to update when I find out what to do.
Definitely read the Stoics as well. I'd say just with that, like they focus on like an indifference to fate. You know, like I'm not worrying about the outcomes. Like that's definitely helpful. Yeah, I got to drop off here. All right, guys.
All right.
See you, John.
See
you.
So that's been good. And then I've been talking to some clients. I had two meetings with clients this week, although it didn't seem like that. My one guy, the video guy, he's gone dark on me, so I'm not sure the guy I was working with to do the video, the explainer video website. The guy that owns that, I have not heard from him in a while. So we'll see. He was going to a conference. We're starting to hit conference season now, so a lot of people are traveling and going to things. And I'd given him a price, like a monthly price. I think with his site, what I wanted to do was do like a three month arrangement or so, and kind of laid out how I was going to set it up, and I was trying to get him. I was pitching him on like a $1,500 a month agreement, which honestly is kind of low. The price was kind of low, but I figured he's in Indonesia, so I figured he's going to be price sensitive.
Right.
He's used to working with people like he is like the outsourcer, like the type of person that John's hiring now. Like that's kind of where his business is. And so I figured he'd be pretty price sensitive. But I gave him 3 different options, price wise, basically 1,000, 1,500, and 2,500. And he's like wanting to do the lowest price one and like nervous about that. So I think if he goes away on me, I'll be a little disappointed. But I think we did a $500. We did that discovery contract up front.
Right.
And so I got some money for doing the work that I did already. And I found a few things for him that, like, we discovered that he was wasting at least half of his AdWords budget every month, just right off the bat. So that will save him quite a bit of money, even if he doesn't do anything else with me. So, it would be. I'm still hoping to hear from him. I'll follow up a few more times. But he seems like he's gone dark on me, so I'm not sure. Not sure what to do. And then I've got another company that is looking. They seem to be pretty excited to be jumping on and to get me jumped on and want me to do a bunch of blog posts and some other content for them. So I'll probably be starting that in a few weeks. My mentor's actually been, I don't know what's, like he said he was going to be ramping up, but he dropped another client. He wants me to work on his stuff. So he actually dropped a client here that we were working with, and so now pretty much I'm just working on his stuff. So I'm not sure how much work I'm going to be able to get from him going forward. We'll have to see. He does have a lot of work he wants me to do, but he was telling me he was gonna ramp up his client work again and start giving me a much bigger chunk of the money from that. But I'm not seeing that happening so far, so we'll see. We'll see. I mean, like if I'm working on his stuff, he's basically, I mean, he's starting his own business, so he's kind of cash strapped himself. So. So I'm not sure. Basically, he's ramping up his an info product and coaching business. He's transitioning out of client work, and so I'm not really sure where that's headed. We'll see. But and then I had a meeting with I had a meeting this week with a guy yesterday, and I haven't heard back from him. We talked, and everything he was saying, like it seemed like I'd be a good fit for him. And then we kind of got to the end, and we were talking about, it was like, okay, time to talk about the money part. And I gave him a price range, and he got seemed a little bit uncomfortable with the range. So I have not heard back from him yet. He pinged me with a few more questions, and I followed up, and so we'll see. He said he's going to be traveling, so I might not hear back from him for a while. So
Right.
It's definitely seems like these type of deals take a good amount of time to put together, which makes sense because you're asking people to drop a few $1,000s. So, yeah, go ahead.
Basically, what it depends on is how long it takes people to make decisions and how long it takes you to get to the decision maker.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like in a lot of these cases, I'm talking to the founder or the CEO or whatever, the owner of the small business. But for them, like I'm definitely going to focus. I like that I've been focusing my marketing efforts on going after companies, like bigger companies, versus smaller people who are more in our position and are like cash strapped and Derick, your thing with Momoko, like that's a huge chunk of cash for you.
Yeah.
But that's nothing for a company that's just got $100 million in funding.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm spending $5,000 with her, and from the work that she's shown me that she's doing, it's gonna be well worth it. I mean, I basically used all of my tax refund from this year to pay for her doing this, and I done some amazing work. But yeah, it's incredibly difficult to drop that kind of money on Watch Me Code. I mean, I brought in $2,800 in revenue this month for Watch Me Code before expenses and all that. So that's easily 2.5 to 3 months worth of my income from Watch Me Code,
right,
to be dropped on this.
Yeah. So I definitely think I have enough connections to where I think I could get a lot of leads in this area,
right.
From people who are, kind of doing the info marketing thing or have this like a course or something. But I don't want to spend all my time like, basically educating people about the value of what I'm doing. Like that's just, it's not very productive.
Right.
Yep.
So, and then I think this happened over the weekend, but I got that email from one of Ben Settle's friends who is starting a copywriting agency, and so she basically just gets a ton of leads, and she can't handle all of them, so she's looking for like a small stable of people that she can trust, that she can hand work off to. So, and I'm following up with her on that. So I've just got a lot of things cooking, a lot of stuff coming in. Still have to nail down one of these. So we'll see. I'm meeting with another big prospect next week.
Nice.
So hopefully, I think the two companies I'm talking to right now, I should have something pretty solid in the next couple weeks.
Nice.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Someday Josh will be the rich one.
Then I can get a MacBook without craters in the screen, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. How about you guys?
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to, Derick?
Go for it.
Good either way. Yesterday, I spent a whole bunch of time basically finalizing a lot of the stuff for Ruby Remote Conf, which is at the end of June. And so I'm reaching back out to the speakers and saying, hey, I'd like to, or basically, here's the schedule as I have it. Let me know if there's a problem, because I reached out before and asked them what day and time worked. And then just coming back around and trying to get talk titles and abstracts and things like that. And just getting it all together. Mandy's doing most of that for me. And then I reached out to a whole bunch of sponsors, and I got one company to sign up to sponsor, and they took kind of the highest end spot that I had, and then I've got a couple of other companies I'm talking to about the other ones. So That should probably clear off a whole bunch more in the debt department for us. So
Nice.
that'd be way nice.
That's sweet. Did you have sponsors at the last one? I can't remember.
Nope, I didn't have any sponsors on the last one. I didn't really go after sponsors too much. I reached out to a few companies and kind of got half-hearted answers. This time, though, I'm telling people, look, we had 150 people show up to JS Remote Conf. I'm getting a lot more positive feedback about this one, and it looks like we're going to pass it. And so they're getting on board and lining up to get in. I'm also trying to decide what to do with sponsorships for Ruby Rogues and JavaScript Jabber, because I have people. I probably talk to 2 or 3 people every week who are new people who want to sponsor those shows, and I don't have any spots to give them. And so when those spots open up, I'm trying to decide how far I should go in charging for those spots.
Yeah. Chuck, one thing I've been interested in is expanding the advertising that I'm doing on the Sublime Text News Letter. So we should talk. Would you be interested in would that be of interest to have another outlet that you could offer, maybe as some kind of upsell type of thing?
Oh, you mean just add it into the sponsorships and say?
Yeah, you could if it's appropriate for them, there would be one other thing that they could sponsor, and we could talk about how to split the revenue.
I'd be open to talking about that. I'm not sure exactly how something like that would look, but I mean, these companies, a lot of them are. I mean, they have marketing budget that they're totally willing to spend. So
yeah, or maybe you could just CC me on all your emails to them.
Well, the funny thing is that
the conversation.
I've been pretty upfront with them and let them know, look, I'm starting to look into putting together a Rails and an Angular version of the online conferences, and I'm getting let us know about those too. So I know they have more budget, so yeah, we could definitely talk about how to arrange that to make it work.
Sweet.
But yeah, so I'm trying to. I mean, I went to one of my clients and I more or less 1.5'd on him, and he just went, or one of my sponsors, and he just went, okay, and he just paid it. So
nice.
I'm really wondering, am I asking just way too little on these, or I don't know.
How did you set your prices initially?
I think initially I was looking like a CPM on the downloads.
Okay.
And I just picked some numbers, and initially they were kind of hard to match, but the shows have all grown, and I haven't really raised my prices a lot. So now they look at it and they're like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. I go to several of my existing sponsors and I'm like, you still want to sponsor? And they're like, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really thinking about raising them a lot and seeing what happens. So.
Before you do that, can I get in on some Ruby Rogues?
Like I said, the only spots I have are at the end of the show, and those are filled as well.
Yeah. No, when Watch Me Code sponsored, I was like the second ad on Ruby Rogues, and it did really well. It was essentially the only advertising I've done that's ever been worth it.
Yeah. If you were at the beginning of the show, you probably get 10x the conversions you get at the end of the show. But yeah, it's just kind of interesting. So yeah, but the thing is if I raise them as much as I think I can probably quit consulting in like August.
Whoa. Nice. How could you test that out?
Well, I'm kind of doing it now. So the way that things are right now, I have the majority of the spots at the beginning of Ruby Rogues and JavaScript Jabber, they paid for a year, so they're up in August.
Okay.
Two of them are up in October, at the beginning of October, or the end of September. So what I'm looking at there is, and I warned them I was going to raise them at the beginning of the year, and I did, but that didn't affect them, it just affected everybody else. And I'm raising it again in June, to where I think it could be, and I've been raising the prices on the other existing sponsors who only picked up like a quarter at a time, and they've all been renewing at the higher rates.
Wow.
So I haven't raised them as much as I kind of think I can, but I'm kind of pushing it a little bit more every time I get a new sponsor or a new somebody interested.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm doing with EntreProgrammers here. You know, we were asking 200 and 400 initially, and we got nobody at the 400, and we got one at 250, and I was like, okay, well let's keep it at 250 for a while, and now, you know, people are saying that we're not charging enough, so I'm probably going to be asking more the next time people come around, the next time we need sponsors, because we've got the history to show that people are paying $250 and thinking they're getting a deal out of this, and I think charging multiple months at a time like we're doing now is also a really good idea because it helps to create the better return for the sponsors.
Yeah, and the scarcity too.
Yeah, the scarcity as well, because I don't want to have more than 2 sponsors on the show.
It creates momentum too.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, look, you know, we have this kind of sponsorship support. Yeah, so I had one sponsor come, and they're basically sponsoring 18 episodes between 2 shows for a little over $10,000.
Wow.
So that's kind of telling me, okay, maybe that's the range that I need to be in.
Right.
Which is more or less double where I'm at. So.
Yeah.
But if I do that and then I start collecting quarterly and I don't blow a year's worth of sponsorships in 3 months, then I think I can get pretty close to getting by on that. And then the rest of it just basically boils down to, okay, what am I bringing in with Rails clips or this or that or the other?
Right.
So, so definitely something that I'm looking at there. But, yeah. And all of the shows have more or less doubled their audiences over the last year, except for maybe Ruby Rogues. So.
Yeah, well, that one's pretty mature.
Yes. JavaScript Jabber keeps growing in ways that surprise me, but.
I think, Java. Well, never mind. JavaScript surprises everyone. Continue.
Yeah,
it's a fad. It's totally a fad.
There's so much moving and going on there that, I think that's what drives it. So whenever there's a new thing, we usually manage to get somebody on the show within a couple weeks.
Right.
So when React was kind of a new thing, and then when it kind of exploded, we had people back on the show.
Right.
And so people they're joining and listening because they're really getting a good length discussion and kind of the scoop on what's going on there.
Yeah, keeping up with the industry, which is friggin' impossible if you don't have something like JS Jabber.
Yeah. So I think that's the payoff there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be shocked if over the next year JavaScript Jabber gets to the point where it has double the listenership of Ruby Rogues.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Even though both shows are growing, it's just JavaScript Jabber is growing that much faster.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Are you able to get as much sponsorship interest in that one?
Which one?
The JavaScript Jabber.
Oh yeah. I get more asks on that one than any of the other shows.
Oh wow.
Ruby Rogues really isn't that far behind, and the difference between the two is actually the level of engagement. The Ruby Rogues community engages much more than the JavaScript Jabber agency does, as far as reaching out to me or reaching out to the other hosts and things like that.
Yeah.
But the JavaScript Jabber community is huge, and the other thing is that when I go to conferences and stuff, I find that they are talking to each other, and so it's really an interesting thing, and I'm trying to kind of create that community and bring some of that back to the show and its forum and stuff, and I just haven't quite cracked that nut, but I think if I could, it would help the people who listen to the show, and it would also be fairly lucrative for me. So.
This is a pretty interesting lesson, though, because one thing Amy Hoy talks about a lot is how hard it is to create a community.
Yes.
Like people think, oh, like, oh, well, I'll just create a community and that could be my product or my continuity income or whatever, and it's actually really, really, really difficult. And I can think of like maybe 1 or 2 that I paid for where I didn't get inside and I was like, well, this is really disappointing.
Yeah.
They're usually pretty dead if they're basically if they're not free and public, then it's basically they're usually dead. And you've got such a huge reach that you could make it work.
Right.
But I think a lot of people, 99.9% of people shouldn't even try.
Well, I'm not looking to create a paid community. The only reason it's paid is to keep the trolls out, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And bring in enough to cover the hosting, which is a DigitalOcean instance that probably cost me like $20 a month.
Yeah. Private, I was thinking.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's more or less it. But yeah, I really want to have those conversations where I can read them, and then I can get an idea of these are the topics I want to tackle. These are the products that people are asking for. These are the problems that people are having. And then I can. So basically, it's Amy Hoy talks about the watering hole. I want to have the.
I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, DigitalOcean, for helping to sponsor the EntreProgrammers to make sure that our show keeps up and running the way that you out there in our audience wants to hear it. DigitalOcean is an amazing company, quite honestly. They have an SSD-only cloud infrastructure on which you can build Linux VPS servers for as little as $5 a month. It's ridiculously cheap to get an amazingly powerful and incredibly fast server. Head over to DigitalOcean.com and you can get a Linux box running with Ubuntu or Core OS or any of a number of other different Linux variations in less than a minute. It's incredibly easy to get one of these machines up and running, and they serve more than 400,000 developers, including the EntreProgrammers, with their services every day, day in and day out. And I personally run several websites with them. We have the EntreProgrammers.com, of course, but then I also have a lot of my own websites running up there, including all of Watch Me Code, DerickBailey.com, and the Signal Leaf blog. I use DigitalOcean every day, and they're amazing. They serve all of my viewers and listeners through a terabyte of bandwidth every month for $5 a month. It's incredible how much bandwidth they give you for that much money. And it doesn't stop there either. You can go far beyond just $5 a month into some highly scalable, very advanced, and extremely powerful servers with far more bandwidth than you're ever going to need, and a lot of processing power, memory, and storage space as well. So head over to DigitalOcean.com and sign up today and get started with a $10 credit, giving you 2 free months of service for those $5 machines that they offer. Just use the promo code EntreProgrammers and you'll get your $10 credit with DigitalOcean.com. So be sure to check them out, and be sure to say thank you for sponsoring the EntreProgrammers podcast.
Hey, John Sonmez here. Just thought I would take a moment to thank one of the sponsors for this week's episode of EntreProgrammers, Raygun.io. Really thank Raygun.io for sponsoring this podcast. And if you don't know what Raygun.io is, I definitely recommend that you check it out. If you've ever been in the situation where you're trying to get all of these user error messages and logs and stack traces from your application out of some log file and then try to sort it all out, and maybe you dump that into a SQL database or something like that, you need Raygun.io. It just makes things simple. What it basically does is it lets you find and fix bugs before the users even encounter them. So you can see your stack traces, you can see that null pointer exception or that exception that got thrown before a user happens to see it, and it's all in one big dashboard where you can just group things and check them off as you fix them, and you can even communicate with users right from there. So it's going to save you time and money. Developer time is expensive. You don't want to be wasting that going through log files and trying to come up with your own homegrown solution. It integrates error reporting and monitoring into your development workflow, so you can have assurance that your releases are error-free, and it has full stack monitoring, lets you monitor errors across your entire application. It supports all languages and platforms. Yes, that's right, all languages and platforms. So whether it's a Node.js backend or JavaScript front end, you've got it all in one place. So check out Raygun.io, and thanks again to Raygun.io for sponsoring this week's episode of EntreProgrammers.
Amy Hoy talks about the watering hole. I want to have the watering hole in my backyard, so I just have to walk out and see what's going on. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, well, what you're describing is what a lot of people. You can do it. You can actually do this. A bunch of other people have said, "Oh, I'll start my own forum or something, so that people will come to me and I can do the watering hole thing in my backyard."
Yeah.
And
but
it doesn't
already
work.
have to have those people. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work. But you're in a very different position. So.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, so the other thing that I've been finding is that if I kind of concentrate on one project during the day, then I tend to get a whole lot more done. So yesterday it was all Ruby Remote Conf. So, I reached out to Mandy and I said, hey, can you help finalize the schedule for stuff and stuff like that. And then so she's finalizing the schedule and things like that. And then the other thing that's going on is, I just reached out to all those sponsors, talked to a whole bunch of people about it. I got one of my basically current sponsors for the podcast to come on board for that, and they actually signed up to sponsor the two other shows that they haven't been sponsoring. So I mean that it all kind of worked out neatly that way. And then just letting people know, hey, this is what's going on. So I'll probably do a day next week and try and finalize a lot of those contacts and sponsorships, and then work out a little bit more of the marketing funnel for that. Though most of the marketing funnel is going to be, hey, it's Ruby Rogues. Hi guys, I'm doing a conference. I mentioned it before, but now you can go sign up.
Yeah.
And it's about 2 months out, but I'm still getting people going, oh, how do I get in? I had one guy ask for a good guy discount, and I told him no.
Because you're a bad guy.
That's right.
Totally.
Yeah, where's my black hat? But anyway, so today's quest is basically to get a bunch of videos done for Rails clips and get it to the point where I have a couple up there in the system ready to go out next week, and then I'll just start releasing them.
Yeah.
I was hoping to have like 5 or 6, maybe 10 in the can, and then just be releasing them from there. But I haven't had time to do them because of the conferences and stuff. So if I can get 3 or 4 done, then I'll probably post 2 today, and then just set them up to start going out next week.
Yeah.
And if I can get 5 or 6 done, then it'll be the same kind of thing. I'll probably put 3 or 4 up today, and then set the release schedule for next week. If I get beyond that, then I'll probably actually just stick with 3 or 4 up today, and then have them start going out next week. And then I can add all the people who backed the Kickstarter campaign into the system and get them all up and ready to go, and just do all that stuff. So I got that going on, and then Dev Box Club, I'm still working out what to put in the boxes. And I just haven't had a ton of time to think about it, so finally I was like, okay, I know what kind of box I want to do, so I reached out to somebody that I know knows a lot about that stuff, and I said, here's my budget, what would you put in the box? And, if you give me a good list, I'll mail you one for free.
Right.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm looking at basically doing an Ardunio/robotics for the first one. And so I reached out to Raquel Velez, who does Rockbot. She's Rockbot on Twitter.
Yep.
And I said, hey, what would you put in this? I'm looking at adding this book in, maybe some T-shirts from some of these libraries, and then, just hoping to get that all ironed out. And then, I just offered to mail her one.
Would there be any actual hardware in there too?
Yeah, so it would have an Arduino board and some motors, servos, sensors. I'm just not sure exactly what kinds of projects people have been doing with Arduinos.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I was thinking I wanted to put in like a kit on how to build some project, but
that almost seems to defeat the purpose.
Well, and all of the instructions I found for the different projects for Arduino were old enough to where I would have to go and figure out how to update them, and I don't have time. So I was just like, I'll just put this stuff in there. I'll include enough for people to kind of get started with it, and then kind of go from there. I also had several people from outside the U.S. basically say it'll probably be cost prohibitive for you to send me one, even if I sign up.
Right.
So they're encouraging me to do virtual boxes. And so I'm trying to figure out if that's something I want to do and what I can put in them. The nice thing is that the cost on those is understood up front.
Right.
Right.
So, I could put in a series of Watch Me Code videos and pay Derick for them.
Yeah.
Or I could put, I could make my own videos one month and put those in there. Or I could have it, just chock full of licenses for different software or things like that. So I'm trying to figure out what that looks like.
Right.
But yeah.
That's cool. That's almost like a level up on the AppSumo approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except it's anonymous, or it's not anonymous, but you don't get to pick what goes in the box.
Right.
It just comes to you, and yeah. So you get it whether you think you'll need it or not. But most people wanted fun stuff as opposed to business or educational stuff. So I'm thinking about like a 75-25 or 70-30 split, fun versus serious stuff. And then I can send out a box full of like, okay, this month's focus is Ruby, so you get a T-shirt with some kind of Ruby thing on it, and you get a book, the pickaxe book or something, and you get maybe a handful of videos to get you started with Ruby and stuff like that, and then do it again for Node or Python or something, and just kind of come around to that periodically. But those lean more toward the serious end. But I feel like I can send that out one month, and then the next month it's kind of a fun.
Right.
You build this crazy thing with Ruby or something. So I don't know. I'm still toying with that a little bit, but.
What's the general cost that you're looking for in these?
I'm looking to do about $100 a month, and then I want to make about $20 to $25 on each box.
Did I ever show? Have you ever seen my slide chop?
No.
It's.
Do we want to?
It's this.
It sounds like a karate move. Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, so it might be a fun project to include for one of your fun months at some point. I could help you write some basic instructions for it, but it's essentially $25 worth of parts, and it's Arduino based. So it's fun though, because it's a vegetable chopper that I took the blade out of, and I mounted
electronic vegetable chopper.
Yeah, USB powered vegetable chopper.
That's
so I took the blade out of it, mounted a button on the platform where the blade used to be, and then put an Arduino compatible device that emulates a mouse underneath of it. So when you smack the plunger on the vegetable chopper, it clicks what is essentially a mouse button and allows you to advance your slides forward. So it's this ridiculously large vegetable chopper, just wham, in order to move your slides forward in your presentation. So I call it the slide chop. But something like that would be incredibly fun for one of your packages at some point.
Yeah, I was thinking like the stoplight thing for CI.
Yeah, those are always fun.
Like
but
those. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't find a good set of instructions, and I didn't want to go and try and, adapt someone's, because then I'd have to get all the hardware shipped here. I'd have to figure out how to build it, and then I'd have to write all the instructions myself, and I don't have time for that right now.
Yeah,
so.
If this becomes a popular enough thing, you might consider partnering with people to build projects like that just for this.
Yeah, and I would definitely be willing to either pay people or send them their own box or whatever. So.
Right. But
here's a box with that project you just built.
Yeah, totally. But you'll definitely want to wait until this becomes popular and viable enough for that to work.
Yep. So that's kind of the thing there. And then I'm trying to think what else. I'm speaking at a couple of like generic developers groups over the next 2 months.
Right.
The first one's going to be about how to be more hireable, because they're mostly new programmers that are looking for jobs. And then
it sounds like you're teaching people how to market themselves.
Yeah.
As software developers. Nice.
Yeah, and then the other one is basically freelancing 101. So.
Right.
But yeah, I gave my second talk at Toastmasters yesterday on podcasting, and I had like half of the club come up afterward and want to talk to me about how to start a podcast. Of course, my talk was, if you're in Toastmasters, you should have a podcast. So I think I did okay as far as
nice
the point across.
Wow, that's awesome. So I've thought about doing the Toastmasters thing, not seriously. I probably will do it at some point. How does it work? Like, what's the deal?
So basically, there are two tracks. There's the communication track and the leadership track.
Okay.
They encourage you to do both, and I am doing both. And the thing is that the skills that they teach you in the communication track are really good for podcasting, among other things. And on the leadership end, it's the same thing as far as building and maintaining a community and influencing people to do things. It's just not as explicit as like being somebody's boss, but it's still leadership, and all of the principles apply. So it's really good that way. Basically, the way that it works is everyone in the club, you show up. Everybody has a different role, so you're either speaking or you're timing the talks, or you're evaluating the talk, or you're listening to the talk for questions that you can ask during the talk. I'm trying to think. Somebody counts all of the ahs, ums, likes, so's. The first talk I gave, I had like 30 or 40 disfluencies.
Mm-hmm.
The uhs and ums. And the last one I did, I had about 10, so I did a lot better. Yeah, and so it's just things like that, and so everybody participates. There are club officers, and yeah, it's just a tremendous experience. The one that I go to, we actually meet in a community church. It's like a big church. They have a big auditorium in there, and so we just meet in one of the classrooms off to the side. And we have our meetings, and they're great people there. So I've made a bunch of friends. They're helping me get better at my speaking, and I'm helping them with whatever, helping them get better at speaking or leadership or whatever as well. But yeah, it turns out that I'm one of like 2 or 3 web knowledgeable technical people that go to the meeting, and so I'm starting to build relationships where I'm actually helping people advance what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I had 3 or 4 people come up and just say, you need to keep doing talks about podcasting because I want to know more. And I had 2 or 3 people basically stop me and say, okay, I've got these questions, and so I was there for like a half hour after the meeting.
Nice.
And it was really terrific. So I'm seriously thinking about putting together like a quick little cheat sheet that's, if you want to start a podcast, here's what you do, and just let people go with it. And then I'll probably build some stuff around that. But yeah, it's real interesting when I can get direct feedback by handing it to people and saying, here you go, you asked for this.
Yeah. Yep. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. That would actually be so. Like, I eventually will want to start doing like talks, marketing related stuff locally, and then maybe try to go to some conferences and stuff. But I like that idea. If you start with Toastmasters, most of those people, or a lot of those people, probably would be potential customers for me.
Right.
And then you get to kind of you're pitching, you're doing your speech, your presentation to people who you could potentially work with. So they're your audience.
Yep. Yeah, I think you would really benefit from it. It also teaches you a lot of techniques that you can apply to your writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, since you're already good at writing, I think you'll be good at speaking, or at least good at preparing the speech.
Yeah.
And then you learn some of the behaviors and things that you need to do to be better at speaking. But I think it would be really good for anybody who wants to build a business to kind of build certain skills around those things, around communicating and leadership, which are kind of important, especially in an online business. So.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, that's going on my list for sure.
Yep. And out here there are probably 7 or 8 clubs within driving distance of me, and I wouldn't be shocked if you're anywhere near a metro area if there aren't a handful that you could make it to. So yeah, and it's a really awesome way to go. So right now I'm working on my competent communicator and competent leader, which are the kind of the basic levels, and then you move up from there. So then you can work on some of the other tracks. So they have them on all kinds of different aspects of speaking. So. I think they have tracks on like humor, using humor. They have tracks on storytelling, all that stuff, and the same thing with the leadership. So then you can get your distinguished Toastmaster and stuff like that. for the leadership end. So
for some reason, the name just has always been a little off-putting to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just feels like I don't know, country club or something.
Well, and you get the manuals and all of the materials and stuff, and it does feel very corporate training. But the meetings are really low-key, really laid back, at least at the club that I've been attending. And so we all just show up in jeans and a t-shirt and do our thing. It's a lot of fun. And I think the different clubs have a different feel. So if you don't like the club you wind up trying first, just try a different one.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I took the PodTrack sponsorship.
Oh, nice.
And that's working out nicely. And then
yeah,
I'm just trying to meet new people. I met a bunch of people at MicroConf that I'm trying to stay connected to. One of them lives here in Lehigh, so
nice.
I was like, we need to do lunch, and he's like, okay. And I'm trying to hint to him, by the way, your office is basically across the street from my favorite Thai place.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's more or less what I've got going on at this point. I just need to figure out a couple of things and then just nail it with Rails clips, and I think I'll be in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Double those podcast sponsorship rates.
Yeah, I might. See if people yell and scream.
The main danger there is that you lose, if you went too high, you could end up with holes.
Yes.
And since they're long-term agreements, that kind of stings.
Right.
Yeah, the thing that I'm looking at, though, is that if I raise it too much, my current sponsors might yelp.
Right.
But if I raise it enough, then the ones that leave will easily be replaced by people who think that that's a reasonable and regular price for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which it is a reasonable price for, but not, they don't have the price anchoring of, I've only been paying this.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so that's where I think the danger is. If I move it too high, then nobody's going to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that all pans out. I'll probably be a little conservative with it because I do want the sponsorship money and I do want to be able to just, whatever. But the other thing is that if I can get it to the point where I want it, the other nice thing about it is that I was talking before about taking some of the tasks that I have Mandy do and hand them off to somebody that doesn't cost as much.
Right.
And I could keep more of the sensitive stuff on her plate.
Right.
Which is what I really want to do anyway. So I could afford to have her do it and just know that it's getting done. And then if I have somebody who's a lower cost person, the stuff that I trust them with, I can hand off to them, and the stuff that just needs that, more high quality touch, I can pay the premium for.
Right.
So, and I'm not cost sensitive. I'm just putting it where I think it'll get done best.
Yep.
So that's kind of the place I'm hoping to get to. So
nice.
Derick, what are you up to?
So I am still running 1,000,000 miles per hour with this package of RabbitMQ stuff, and it's quickly becoming this insanely amazing thing. Well, before I get that, I guess I mentioned working with Momoko earlier. She's done a bunch of redesigns for me on the Watch Me Code site, and is doing all this on her local copy of the site so far. But she sent me over some designs to completely redo the homepage, the layout, the content, and make it look like a legitimate screencasting service instead of this half-assed thrown together thing that it really is at this point. That doesn't really talk about any of the benefits or the value. And so she's doing an amazing job with the marketing side of this and really the onboarding process. And I'm going to put together a video that illustrates or highlights at least one or two of the most important or most popular of the aha type moments from my videos. But then on the back end, we're also going to create a better pricing page and a better sign-up experience as well, because there's a lot of people dropping off on the sign-up page, like a lot of people dropping off the sign-up page because it's ugly and horrible and confusing. So we're going to fix that.
The little lock disappears.
Yeah, no, it's not that bad. But yeah, so I'm really, really, really excited about what she's doing, and I'm super happy that I am not having to do this because it's clear that I was never going to get it done. So awesome for having her be able to do the research and actually the implementation for it. But back to the RabbitMQ package. I sent off some work to Mandy earlier this week. Actually, she's probably going to get to it next week sometime. I'm taking all of the interviews that I've done so far and having them transcribed. I went through rev.com like Josh recommended, which was pretty awesome. But that company is incredible. I'll send off these 40-minute long interviews, and they say 24-hour turnaround. The longest I've had to wait so far is like 6 hours on any of them, and I think 2 of them got back to me within like 3 hours. It's been pretty awesome, and they're doing a super high quality job. So if you need dirt cheap transcriptions, they charge like $1 a minute, and they'll give you the raw transcription with that. It comes back in a Word document, which I'm not super happy about, but whatever, it's a common format. So I sent these over to Mandy, and I'm gonna have her clean up some of the things that I want changed on the way it's formatted, and then she's going to create summaries of everything to, as a description at the top of the transcription about what the episode is about, which I'll use to advertise the actual interview as well. I sent her the audio export from the interviews, and she's going to convert that to MP3s so I can give people the audio and the video version of the interview separately. But then more importantly, she's going to create like a cross-reference document for me out of all of these transcripts to show common themes of what people are talking about and at what point in the interview each person is talking about these different things. And I'm going to use that cross-reference document to create additional marketing material to generate blog posts around this particular subject and talk about the package as a whole within those blog posts, and also to give people an idea of, if you're interested in these subjects, this particular area in messaging, go listen to these interviews in these areas and these time frames to hear more about these details. So one of my plans with this. She's also going to take the Word documents and copy and paste basically into Markdown format for me. And so my plan with this is for the transcripts that I deliver with this package, I'm going to use LeanPub to compile them into an ebook. So that way you'll have all of the interview audio and video files, but then you'll have PDF, EPUB, MOBI, whatever you want to actually read the transcripts. So you can get the information from the video, from the audio, from the transcripts as the ebook. You'll have the cross-reference information in that same ebook as well about the different subjects. So there's a lot of really cool stuff coming out of that. Also started working on the big ultimate bundle package that we talked about a couple of times for this, where I'm basically putting together a consulting package and a mastermind group for a very limited number of seats of 10 people. So I've got a site up on a page up on the Watch Me Code site now that I'm putting in all of the final details and marketing copy for this big bundle, and I'm putting pricing in at the end. And I really wish John and Josh were here to give feedback on the pricing as well, because I want feedback from all three of you guys. But I'm deciding on the pricing of this, and as John suggested, I'm putting in price anchoring. And when I listed out my price anchoring, it was kind of surprising, because the consulting package that I'm offering people, I'd probably charge $1,500 for that. The mastermind group that I'm putting together for this, I've seen mastermind groups sell for $1,200 a pop, for like a 1-year subscription to a mastermind group. I've seen webinars go as high as $500 or more. And then, the actual RabbitMQ for developers package, just the the videos and everything else included is going to be like $250. So with all of that together, it's coming out to almost $3,500. So my original pricing, like John had suggested, was going to be $1,000. And when John suggested that $1,000 one or two episodes ago, I was kind of freaking out, like, whoa, hey, $1,000, there's no way I can justify that cost. But now looking at everything that I'm including in this Mastermind bundle for the RabbitMQ stuff, I'm thinking $1,200 is a more appropriate number, $1,195, because with a $3,500 price anchor, $1,195 is a pretty dang good deal. Because I mean, people are going to get not just the core material and interviews, but the mastermind group, the consulting package, and then I plan on doing a webinar with everybody in this group as well. And I'm limiting this to 10 people as well. It's a very limited resource. I don't want a whole bunch of people in this thing, because I want this to create a very close, tight-knit community out of these 10 people. And I think limiting it to 10 people will help do that. It'll give everyone involved more opportunity to have their voice heard by the group and have their questions answered, and to be able to participate in a more meaningful way, especially when it comes to doing the webinar, because I plan on using the discussions from the mastermind group to fuel what I do in the webinar. So I think it'll provide a lot of value for people that are getting into RabbitMQ or have already started but need some assistance and not sure where else to turn.
Yeah, my thinking on a lot of this is more or less, first look at how much time you're going to have to put in. I mean,
Right.
You can't know this because it really depends on who comes into the mastermind and how much of your time they're really going to ask for.
Yep.
But, kind of figure that out and figure out sort of what the minimum is that you're willing to do it for.
Mm-hmm.
And, that way you can at least set the price so that you don't feel like you got a raw deal.
Right.
The other thing is that I'm guessing that you could probably charge up to $1,500. The difference, though, is that what you're essentially going to do is you're going to say, this is $3,500 worth of value,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm selling it for $1,500. And then you can say that's basically a 60% discount or a 65% discount or
Right.
a $2,000 discount, whichever number feels bigger to you.
Right.
And so, yeah, if you can anchor it properly so that it looks like, hey, I'm getting $2,000 worth of free value,
Right.
or I'm getting an extra. Basically, this is a third of what it should cost. And
Right.
so that it feels like, because that's what you're after. It feels like it's this
Yep.
killer deal.
Yeah.
And it really is a good deal considering the value they're going to get.
Right.
But yeah, you don't want to come out of it going, ew, no. Just to give you an example, when I was in the podcast mastermind,
Mm-hmm.
Cliff Ravenscraft eventually shut it down because he wasn't charging enough to make it worth his time. It was, he felt like, I love connecting with these people and I really feel good about what I've been able to accomplish here, but it just, I don't feel like it's a good value on my time for the money that it's bringing in.
Right.
And you don't want to feel like it was a losing proposition to offer a great value. You want that value exchange to feel at least even. So
Yeah.
But other than that, I think you could price it up to $1,500, maybe a little bit more, and I think people would buy it without a problem. Of course, they have to have some connection to you probably, and they're also
Right.
probably going to have some burning need or desire to do something with RabbitMQ.
Right.
But where you're limiting it to 10 people, I don't think you're really going to have a terrible time trying to fill it. If you were trying to fill 20 or 30 or 40 seats,
Yeah.
that might be a different story. But
Right.
10 seats, I think you can fill most of them, enough of them to make it worth it.
Yep. Yeah, I'll be kind of surprised if I don't fill all 10, because I've had a number of people, I get a fairly regular stream of requests for consulting work anyways, and there are a lot of people saying that they're very interested in the RabbitMQ for Developers package, and people asking for more consulting and more help with RabbitMQ in general. So I think it'll work out pretty well. I stand to make more money by just going down the consulting path, but that's not what I'm interested in. I mean, of course, I would like to have more money. Who wouldn't, right? But I really want this to be more the productized consulting, like you've been talking about recently. And I think putting together this bundle, this package, gives them a foundation as a product, but also as a service to communicate with each other. So it's not solely resting on my shoulders. There is a small community of people that will be closely knit together through this one little group that they'll be able to lean on each other, and I'll be able to help guide and provide direction and then get into the individualized consulting with each one of them.
Yeah, the other thing is if you do go the productized consulting route, then you'll know what that should cost, because you'll know then, hey, I helped these 10 people either get set up or manage their current setup, and it took about this much time, it was about this much work, it caused me this much pain.
Yeah. So
it should cost about this much. And, you can kind of figure out, you'll also get a good idea of the price point, right? Because if you have 10 spots open and you have 50 people asking to get in, then, your productized consulting is going to cost a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And if it's not, if you have 8 people and you kind of scrimp to get that 9th and 10th person in, then your price is probably about right.
Right.
And so you can kind of figure that out. But yeah, the other thing is that you're saying I could probably make more money consulting than doing the product. But the other thing is you're not counting for the traction that you're getting by selling products like this.
Right.
So you have this offering, and if it's a slam dunk, then the next time you come around, you offer another offering like this for the next series of things that you want to get people to buy.
Right.
And it's even easier to sell those because you have social proof from the other people. You have 5 of those that are going, oh, we could really use help with that aspect of Express or whatever as well. Right. And so then they buy in, and you can sell 15 spots or charge a little bit more for it, because you know that you have people who have that building momentum that are going to buy whatever you come out with next.
Right. Yeah. So those are all kinds of things that I've been thinking about this week as well, and I need to get this thing done. So, which is why I'm heavily working on this on the marketing page for this Mastermind bundle right now. I got to stop putting it off, basically, because I'll never get it done if I don't stop putting it off.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm trying to do today. Essentially, I've been doing a lot of open source updates for my client work, as well as for issues on one of my open source projects as well, which has been kind of challenging. But it's all RabbitMQ related, so it's good stuff for me to be working on, because it's very related to the bundle. I've done 4 interviews so far, including the author of RabbitMQ in Action, which I was super excited to do. That was a really good interview. And then I've got one more very high-profile person scheduled for May 19th. And then I'm also trying to get Jimmy Bogard and Alex Robson, who created the Wascally framework for Node.js.
I will not stop laughing every time you say that.
I know. I can't ever blame anyone, because that is the most ridiculous name.
Why is it that open source has trouble getting traction in the corporate environment?
Gee, I don't know.
Come on, we willy want to use Wascally for WabbitMQ.
Totally. So yeah, Josh, I typed into the chat section there what we talked about for the moment that you were out. Is I'm pricing this at $11.95, and then we were just discussing why that was a good idea. Basically, Chuck saying I should charge more.
So your strategy then, you're going with the red carpet rollout type of strategy that we talked about on the list. Is that?
No, this is. I still don't understand the differences that you were saying.
Okay.
So let's start with that, because I want to know what I'm actually doing in your mind.
Well, okay, so yeah, when Keith was on, we were talking about that he talked about that event that I'm pretty sure it was Ramit Sethi did a version of his course. So he has a how to earn your first $1,000 on the internet course, and now I think he sells that for like something like $2 or $3 grand.
Right.
But originally, the way he first rolled it out was basically did all the work to develop the curriculum, and then he did a live version of it.
Right.
He flew people in. It was like 12 grand a pop, and they put them up in a hotel in New York and everything, and so it's this big production, and I think the idea was to really like make a big splashy launch with it. And so that's kind of one strategy. I think that's kind of what John's been talking about doing with this. What I had originally suggested last week was to do just basically an early access beta of your product, like not to make another. This is almost like this is adding a tier or making another, rung on the ladder, which is good to do. My main concern, I think, with this is that to make it work. Like my idea was like, okay, just send an email to your list, say there's 10 slots, and giving you 50% discount off of what the final price is going to be, and get them to sell out immediately.
Right.
So you have those people, you can work with them, get feedback from them, get some testimonials and that sort of thing. It's more like a beta test, like a very limited beta test. Like you know how a lot of companies will do the thing where they say, this private invite-only beta. Type of thing. That's kind of what I was thinking.
So I just yesterday pre-ordered Black Ops 3 specifically so I can get in on the beta.
Okay.
So exactly that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that type of thing. So.
Okay, so yeah, I want to do more the red carpet rollout.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well,
I was originally thinking doing the early access to get feedback and whatnot, but after some of the discussion on the mailing list and then looking at what I've been able to do with Watch Me Code already in the last couple of months, I don't really need that. I don't need to prove that this package will be worth it because I have enough momentum in Watch Me Code and in my audience to know that this is a tremendously valuable package and it's going to sell like mad once I release it.
Okay.
So I am going for more the top tier. I'm going to have probably a $50, $150, and $250 package for the thing when it releases. Mm-hmm. But now I'm looking at a $1,200 version of this, which is going to include the private mastermind group, the live webinar, and the consulting package from me, as well as the actual RabbitMQ for Developers bundle.
Okay, yeah, and I think that sounds pretty good. Make sure if you're going to do this needs a full launch.
Yeah, I'm doing that. That's
all right.
That link that I pasted in the chat window is my full launch sales page. It's my long form sales, and I'm going to be putting together a launch sequence for this, which I want to start next week sometime, or maybe the week after. But this is going to be a full launch to my mailing list only. I'm not going to talk about it anywhere else. I'm just going to launch this to my mailing list. I'm going to give them kind of the plan right now is to give them a heads up email, a detail about one thing email, a detail about another, detail about the third thing, and then the final launch. Hey, it's live, ready to go. There will probably be a fourth email in that in those details to outline what's in the early access version of the RabbitMQ for Developers package.
Okay.
But then I'll go into some detail about each of the other items in subsequent emails.
Okay.
And probably include little quotes here and there from the interviews and talk about other things that are going on in this.
Okay.
All with the goal of getting people interested in the consulting package from me, as well as the mastermind group that they'll be joining. This.
So one thing to weave into the emails, and this might be like even just be a couple of the emails, is to really build up the value of the consulting
Yeah.
by talking about what can go wrong.
Right.
Or what they're, the pain, if they have pain that they're dealing with now already.
Yep.
Agitate that a little bit.
Yep. Totally.
Sweet.
I was actually going to say something along those lines too. I'm looking at your long-form sales page, and the first thing I get is XHR Ajax. The next thing I get is front-end messaging. And it's like, look, RabbitMQ is awesome because it's going to speed up those requests.
Right.
So, I mean, I almost feel like you need to just start off with like that main pain or that main benefit of using RabbitMQ, where it's look, you can drastically speed up your long-running or slow request times by using RabbitMQ, and maybe get a picture of some guy like asleep drooling, while the web page loads. I don't know, but just really articulate that, because I don't even get to the payoff for this until a ways down the page, and so you can articulate the benefits. You can talk about, okay, I've been able to speed up some request times from this to this, or by 10x or 100x or whatever you get, and that way you can start to really paint a picture of, oh, I've got this serious pain, and this doesn't just solve my problem, it destroys it.
Yeah.
And then it's a no-brainer. So do you want me to show you how? Do you want like the exclusive access that's going to make your life heaven? Then buy this.
Yeah,
and
and so Derick, is the audience for this going to be people who are already using RabbitMQ, or people who want to, or both?
People that are wanting to because they see the potential benefit, and people that have just started but are running into the common frustrations of people that just start.
All right. Yeah, I would definitely hammer those common frustrations.
Okay. Which I started on that a little bit at the top of this sales page, the confusion of connections versus channels, exchanges and queues. What do these things even mean? But I like Chuck's approach of destroying that latency in those requests, because you literally can't take a 30-second or 2-minute process web request and drop it down to milliseconds.
Yeah.
It's not that the work is done faster, but the request, the user experience goes from many seconds down to milliseconds, down to nothing.
Yeah, and you could put right there at the beginning too, do you have this problem, blah, 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 and then just, side note, if you're already using RabbitMQ and keep getting stuck, then click here, and then you can take them to the other pitch.
It'd be awesome if you had a demo that was like, that could show like a little JavaScript demo that showed how long, you know how they do like the cable companies do with how long it takes to download an MP3?
Oh yeah.
This is like Adventures in Bad Sound from John today. John, I think you're coming through your laptop mic.
All right, let me switch that.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. We'll get to it later. I was the email, the Sublime list sponsorship thing. You back, Derick?
Yeah, sorry, I had to answer that phone call. I've been trying to get my lawn maintenance guys to actually come out and do the lawn maintenance, and it's been insane with rain last week, and then them having mower problems this week, and they screwed up today because they sent out the guy to do spray for weed and feed before the lawn maintenance people got here, which means they can't mow today. And we already missed a week, so I've got like 10 inches of weeds in my yard.
Wow.
So, yeah, so they're gonna have to come out. They said they'll be coming out tomorrow. They better be coming out tomorrow, or I'm just gonna cancel the contract.
You're mean.
I am. If they can't do the job, jeez. All right, so where were we? We were talking about pain.
Yeah.
Josh was bouncing on his toes. He had something to say that was so important.
I don't remember what it was now.
I'm sorry, man. I had to take that call.
That's all right. No, that's all right. Totally all right. Yeah. So we were talking about. So this is going to be for people who are. Oh yeah. I think what I wanted to say was, you really kind of have to sell the benefit of the consulting here. I think really hard. Right. Because that's why people are going to pay $1,200. They're not going to pay $1,200 for early access to something that they can get for like $150 when it launches.
Yeah.
So yeah, so sell the certainty of having you help them with their implementation.
Right.
Yep.
Agreed.
But that's pretty cool. I'll be curious to see how this goes.
Yeah, me too.
So my only concern is like, so if you're only launching it to your list, that's a pretty small universe. And
it's very strictly limited to 10 people. And
yeah, I know, but that might not, I'm concerned that
5,000.
might not be enough.
You think?
So, yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, so what's the most expensive thing you've sold? Like your packages?
Yeah, probably the Mongoose package. Either the Mongoose one or the Express one.
Okay, and that was what was the price on that? Around $100?
Yeah.
Or, okay. Yeah. So, and how many of those did you sell?
About 50.
50. Okay. That's I don't know. Like, cause it's hard to know how many people are on your list. So you've got 5,000 people on your list, but then you've got a subsegment of those who are interested in RabbitMQ, and then you've got a subsegment of those that can actually afford to pay you $1,200.
Right.
And are interested enough to pay you $1,200. Okay, that's I don't know, like, cause it's hard to know how many people are on your list. So you've got 5,000 people on your list, but then you've got a subsegment of those who are interested in RabbitMQ, and then you've got a subsegment of those that can actually afford to pay you $1,200 and are interested enough to pay you $1,200. So I don't know how big. We don't know what those numbers are.
And John is suddenly back with a very grainy, awful video and no headset.
I'm in fallback mode.
Are you on your phone again?
No, I'm on just on the MacBook by itself.
Okay.
Not connected to the USB hub. I guess I need a new docking station for sure now.
Okay.
Oh,
you look terrible and sound awful.
He's doing the mini-series romantic twirl with us, where they're holding the camera and spinning.
Nice. Love it.
The blue glare kind of ruins it, though.
Yeah, that looks evil.
He looks like he belongs in Vegas.
So...
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that did just occur to me. I mean, Josh pointed out that may not be enough seats, but the thing is if it sells out quickly, then you
wait. No, I was saying that the other way around. I was saying that there might not be enough people on his list to sell much of anything at that price, and so that's actually my main concern. But as long as you're prepared for that, I mean, you don't have to announce it. You probably announce it here, but. You're definitely if one or two people buy it, first of all, can you deliver on all the value if only one or two people buy it?
Other than the Mastermind group, yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the consulting there's $1,500 of value in the consulting.
Yeah.
The webinar, I can make it a publicly available webinar, or just announce it to my list and get additional people to sign up for the webinar.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got so much material to cover on the webinar. I mean, I can do that whether or not there are anybody that buys this. So, other than the Mastermind group, there's still plenty of value there.
I guess if two people buy it, you've made $2,400, and it's probably worth whatever you put into it.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I've probably spent $2,400 doing this so far.
Well, yeah, but you're not. Yeah, but you'll get that. Yeah, but you're gonna still launch the bundle.
Yeah.
So
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not the whole product. So
we'll see. How deep is your list as far as RabbitMQ interest?
I don't know.
How deep is your total? What's your list?
Just over 5,000 total.
So, if you had to guess at how many of them are interested in RabbitMQ at all?
The vast majority of them are JavaScript developers, and if they are not yet interested in RabbitMQ or messaging in general, then they don't know what they're missing. I would bet that there's a fairly high number of people that have been watching those and are very interested in it. I'm also fairly certain that I've had a number of new subscribers on Watch Me Code just for the RabbitMQ series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there's a fairly sizable audience there, and I think the opportunity for me coming in to help somebody set up their project to use RabbitMQ is going to be very motivating to a lot of people on the list. Because there are people on my list that are subscribers to Watch Me Code and are on my mailing list precisely because I don't have time to do consulting at this point.
Yeah.
The people that I've said, I'm sorry, I can't do consulting right now, have signed up for Watch Me Code as the second best option. So
maybe
me coming back and specifically making time for consulting as part of this package, I think is going to be a huge draw.
Could you send out like a little cheat sheet or something that people could click on or download to kind of gauge interest in RabbitMQ?
That'd be interesting.
Or even do a couple blog posts about it.
Oh, there you go. And then just send them to your list.
Yeah. And make it clear. The other thing would be to make it clear in the subject line what the topic is.
Yeah.
So you can accurately gauge the level of interest.
Right. Yeah. Which I do have a number of RabbitMQ blog posts, and they get pretty high traffic.
You could even just send out a list of those.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to put together the bundle. So now you're priming them to look for that email.
Well, I've done that. For the general package, I guess. I put up a blog post for the general package last week, and then I wrote another blog post yesterday, which got emailed this morning.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So what was I saying? All right. So I wrote another blog post yesterday that was spawned by one of the interviews that I did with Arya Stewart. That email out this morning has been getting some pretty good traffic and comments on it as well. So, there's a lot of risk in this. I probably do need to do more to really prime the list for this, but I'm also running up against I just want this dumb thing to be released because I've already pushed it back more than a month from what I originally wanted to do. So it's kind of the question of, do you wait for the launch to be perfect, or do you launch and get it done? And I'm always a fan of launch it and improve it later.
Get her done.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, launch it, see what happens. I mean, I think you're in a good enough spot now to evaluate. You have a good chance at selling a few seats, maybe selling them all, and then you'll learn from it. So.
Well, the other thing is that just occurred to me here, and it's because I've been emailing back and forth with Mandy and Derick to see about getting Derick on JavaScript Jabber, since it's relevant stuff, to help him kind of do a launch there, but we can't get him in until July or something. But the thing is that, so let's say that this launch has certain issues that Derick can figure out how to fix, then he can build another launch around my audience.
Right.
And if there are other issues there, then he can, John keeps talking about, hey, I want other people to write for Simple Programmer, so he could write a series of blog posts for Simple Programmer and drive another launch off of John's list or John's
John only
audience.
wants high-quality writers, though, so...
Yeah, that's...
So he could have Josh write blog post for John's...
Exactly.
And then I'll do a dramatic reading since I'm the podcast guy. And
exactly.
But so I mean, I think you have access to other audiences, so you could see, okay, this one, and then once you figure it out, then you just go and replicate with the other audiences.
Right. Start doing paid advertising, all that.
Yeah, and with a high-end package like this as one of the options, you'll probably have the headroom to do more advertising, which would be really helpful.
Yep. Yeah. So, but this. Right now, I'm doing this as an experiment. Really, I want to see if I can make it work. I don't know if I'll ever do it again. I'm gonna have to see how this one goes, how well it sells, how much of my time it takes up, and whether or not it's worth it. I mean, if I can if I can sell 10 seats at $1,200 and bring in $12,000 and spend, 20, 30 hours total on this, then it's probably going to be worth it. But we'll have to see.
Cool.
So yeah, that's it. That's what I'm doing. I'm freaking out about this, trying to get it done, trying to make it awesome, and we'll see what happens.
Dead air.
Well, it's the perfect time to tell everyone about the EntreProgrammers Retreat.
Retreat! Oh, sorry.
Speaking of the retreat, I have a conflict now with the Sunday. Yeah, I know. So I don't know. Maybe this is just not meant to be. I was thinking. What could work for me would be if I could leave. If Saturday could be getaway day. That date range, like I don't know what the date would be then, but if we moved it up in the week to where it was like started on a Tuesday or something, then I could do it. But otherwise, that time frame is not good for me anymore.
I'm totally flexible around then, so.
Did we actually announce the dates? I think we did, right?
I think we did, yeah.
For the second time.
Yeah, but they were never official, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not until we start taking money do they become official.
Yeah, but at this point, my wife's going to start kicking me in the face for continuing to change this.
All right, so what are the dates then that we'd be looking at? We should all check our calendars here, and then.
Well, the problem is like so far out, right? It's pretty. Stuff comes up.
Well, that's the thing. It's so far out. How could you have a conflict around this?
Well, because it's my son's baptism. Like, there's only a couple every year, and that's the only time that we can do it. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were scheduled for the 16th through the 19th, which is over a weekend. So if we move that up to like Monday the 12th.
The 12th through like the 16th or 17th?
Yeah, that would work for me.
That should be fine for me.
All right.
Like I said, I'm totally flexible, so I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, that.
Oh, wait. Monday the 12th is Columbus Day. I always celebrate Columbus Day. I get it.
He goes out on a boat. The Pinta, that's the one he gets on.
Wow. He scales down into a Caribbean island a few miles away.
That's right.
Nice.
So starting on Columbus Day then. Starting on the 12th and the 15th.
Would that mean flying out on the 11th?
Well,
because that's not going to work for me.
We could do it. I mean, we could do it flying out on the 12th.
Yeah.
Because it was going to be what? It was going to be 4 days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's including travel time, I think, right?
Yeah. And we could have the place for like all day on the 12th, so if some of us wanted to fly out on the 11th, it's an option, but...
Yeah, that's true.
And then just, have it flexible, but, we're not doing anything official until, the evening of the 12th or something.
Because we said 2 days and then 1 day, right? It's 3 days total.
Right. So it'd be 5 days total travel time.
Yeah, so flying out on the 12th, possibly the 11th if you want to, and then the 13th and 14th is when the activities really start, and then the 15th is our day, and then fly back on the 16th.
Right.
That works for me.
Okay, we'll have like
that
an
will
opening.
Probably work for me as well.
Okay.
No.
It can't because everybody else said yes.
I'll reschedule my dentist.
For a bunch of guys with no jobs, I mean, come on.
No, it's not me. If this was just me, I'd be flying to you guys' houses every other day. I mean,
that's scary.
It's my family. My daughter's birthday is on the 7th, and we typically have the birthday party the weekend after.
Lesson learned: if you want to be an entrepreneur, start before you get married. What's wrong with you people? More complicated.
More like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, don't get married. Because as soon as you get married and have kids, then you suddenly have other people's lives to worry about and coordinate around.
Yeah. I can't figure out why when I was single I wasn't just like flying around to different countries and being a vagabond living in Thailand, starting companies. So
Yeah.
I was working for the man.
I
Anyway,
hate the man. He's mean too.
All right, so that seems workable.
so sign up before we change the date again for October 12th through 15th. You get to hang with us, and yeah, but it's tentative still until we start taking money. But this is almost for sure now. These dates. Everyone confirm with your spouses and your kids and your pets to make sure that those dates work for all of them.
I gotta make sure my dog's groomer's aunt can pick up the kid's pet dog. Wait.
You just know people are going to show up at this place on all of the dates we picked too, right?
Yes.
Like,
And,
Yeah, they're
and
going to
next
show up in whatever city.
next week we'll get an absolute confirmation, and then once we have the absolute confirmation, I think within the week of that we should start taking money. We should start people who are serious who want to pay, so we can reserve the spots because we're only going to have 10 spots. So we don't want to mess around here. So there we go.
Alrighty.
cool.
Thought for the week. Go, Josh.
Oh man, I don't really have anything.
I know, that's why I picked it.
I think for me, so I'm going to go back to the theater of the mind thing, and so the kind of the main idea in psychocybernetics in this program is the idea of self-image, that like what you think about yourself is what you will make true, and like you won't allow yourself to have things that you don't think you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to be doing a lot of thinking about that.
So you pretty much just said almost exactly what I was going to say as well. So mine was the phrase, whether or not you think you can, you're right. Because it's all about your mindset. If you don't believe you can do something, of course you can't do it because you're not even going to try. If you believe you can do something, of course you're going to, because you're going to continue to do it until you get it done. So whether or not you think you can, you're right.
Josh, I think your line there was, then you should have gone first.
Hey, you make your bed, you lie in it,
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm trying to decide between mine. I have a dual one. One is just simplify. That's my cop-out one. But then I'm reading this book called Anti-Fragile, and in the book the author said, a Stoic is a Buddhist who says, F you to fate. That was pretty cool. We're keeping this kid friendly, so say F you to fate. But say the full thing. Just wave your
What if you're fated to say F you to fate?
Which basically means saying F you to fate means you don't care what happens, what comes, what whatever is, good things happen, good, great. Bad things happen, fine, doesn't matter. Don't be so dependent on fate, on circumstances. What happens to you to control your life. Instead, you control your life, and then you just give fate the finger. So.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. My thought is mostly just to focus on solutions instead of problems. Earlier this week, I kind of got a little overwhelmed because I was looking at certain areas of finances that I want to do better in, and I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do that? And I started thinking about solutions, and that's how I got to the place of, hey, I've got these things going on that I can solve these problems with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went and found sponsors for Ruby Remote Conf, and I made a plan for how I'm going to market that and things like that. Started looking at, okay, what exactly do I need to do to get Rails clips up and running because people are looking for it now. And, immediately these problems started solving themselves. So.
Right.
Oh, and F you, fate.
Nice.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think... Yeah, I like John's thought just in the sense of I hear people complain about the president or the economy or this or that, and I felt some impact from some of those things, but for the most part, it depends on what I'm doing and not what they're doing. So.
Yeah. By the way, that's a really good book, the Anti-Fragile book. I highly recommend it.
Nice.
The guy, he just rails on economists and institutionalized education and education in general, and just talks about why you don't know what the heck is going on, and don't try and predict things. Just try to be anti-fragile. Try to be, respond to change in a positive way. So, pretty cool stuff. All right, should we wrap it up?
Yep. See you guys next week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bye.
Wanna start a business but you just know how to code? Listen to John, Josh, and Derick as we figure it out. We are the EntreProgrammers and we'll teach you straight up to be developers.